Val Kilmer was once one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, but his career was met with a major roadblock when he was diagnosed with cancer in the 2010s. Despite this, the actor still has an incredible legacy behind him and continues to make sporadic appearances in various films. Join FactsVerse as we explore the cancer diagnosis that destroyed Val Kilmer's career. Val Kilmer was born December 31, 1959 in LA. Though his parents didn't have any lineage in entertainment, Val's father was a wealthy real estate developer and aerospace equipment distributor. Val's parents divorced when he was only 8, and he had a brother that drowned at the age of 15. For his education, he attended Berkeley Hall School, a private school in LA practicing the Christian Science faith. He attended that school until 9th grade, at which point he attended Chatsworth High School, where one of his classmates was Kevin Spacey. Afterwards, Val attended the Hollywood Professional School where he studied acting. His studies allowed him to gain entry into the Julliard School's drama division, making him the youngest applicant they'd ever accepted at that time. Val's theatrical performances were doing so well, he turned down a role in Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders to maintain them. However, he did eventually decide he wanted to pursue a career in film. After appearing alongside Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon in the off-Broadway production The Slab Boys, Val made his first notable on-screen appearance on the anthology series ABC After School Special, alongside a similarly young Michelle Pfeiffer. That same year, Val also self-published a book of poetry. His breakout feature film role was in the film Top Secret. The film was a spy spoof and helmed by Jim Abrahams and the Zucker brothers. Of course, they were the same team that created the previous hit spoof film, Airplane. Despite the film's comedic tone, Val fit right into the role of the action hero. From there, he was given opportunities for some increasingly serious roles. After a quick vacation backpacking around Europe, Val appeared in the 1985 comedy Real Genius, solidifying his status as a superstar. He then followed this up with an even more iconic performance, starring opposite Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Around the same time, he appeared in George Lucas and Ron Howard's ambitious fantasy epic Willow. Not forgetting his origins, Val then returned to the stage to perform in a notable production of Hamlet during the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. With this 1989 performance, Val closed out the 80s with one of the most acclaimed streaks of any actor at the time. The 90s brought a worthy dramatic challenge to Val in the form of Oliver Stone's biographical feature The Doors, telling the story of the band of the same name. Tasked with playing Jim Morrison, Val began attending tribute concerts for the band and immersing himself in the late singer's poetry. He also worked on his impression of the singer, which turned out so good it was actually his voice used during the song performances in the film. Val spent over a year preparing for his role in The Doors, which paid off when the film was met with universal critical acclaim. Although Val had been seen as a qualified actor on the stage, Hollywood audiences at that point had only known him as a pretty boy. With The Doors, he gained mainstream fame as a Hollywood actor of the highest caliber. A few years later, Val performed an equally impressive impression of Elvis Presley in the film True Romance, directed by Top Gun's Tony Scott and written by Quentin Tarantino. By 1993, Val was nearing the top of his game. He was given a role worthy of his stature in the blockbuster western Tombstone, starring as Doc Holliday alongside Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp. A few years later, he starred alongside Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in Michael Mann's action epic Heat. Heat has gone down as one of the most critically respected action films of its time. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like, and be sure to subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. After 1992's Batman Returns didn't fare well with younger audiences, Warner Bros. Was looking to go in a different direction with the franchise. They hired director Joel Schumacher to brainstorm a new vision for the follow-up, which included picking out a new actor to replace the aging Michael Keaton. Having recently seen Tombstone, the first person Joel thought of was Val Kilmer. Val played Batman only once, in 1995's Batman Forever. He appeared alongside such notable cast members as Tommy Lee Jones, Nicole Kidman, and Jim Carrey. The film was a massive success and brought Val's mainstream fame to its peak. However, Val wasn't completely satisfied with his work in the film and decided not to return for the fourth Batman feature. He was replaced by George Clooney. Val appeared alongside Marlon Brando in the 1996 box office disaster The Island of Dr. Moreau. The film's production marked a low point for Marlon both professionally and psychologically, with the actor having various meltdowns on set. Some of these came at the expense of Val, who wasn't afraid to fire back at Marlon. The rocky production of the film yielded a critical and financial disaster, and became a slight stain on the careers of nearly everyone involved. Despite the disastrous Island of Dr. Moreau, Val continued performing in big roles steadily throughout the rest of the 90s. He played the lead role in the hit 1997 film The Saint, and voiced the character of Moses in the ambitious 1988 DreamWorks animation feature The Prince of Egypt. In the year 2000, he starred in the science fiction film Red Planet. It was a financial failure and marked the end of Val's most successful career period. Although Val certainly hasn't maintained the same level of stardom in the new century as he did in the 80s and 90s, he still performed in many notable roles. He portrayed notorious porn star John Holmes in the 2003 crime drama Wonderland, a role that brought Val back some of the critical acclaim he'd been lacking. He also worked with Ron Howard once again in the acclaimed Western drama The Missing. Although Val was no longer the biggest star in Hollywood, he was still doing good work. Over the next 10 years, he appeared in a variety of notable roles. He reprised Moses in an LA production of The Ten Commandments, the musical, and appeared in Shane Black's cult action comedy Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. In 2010, he was finally able to work alongside Francis Ford Coppola, starring in the film Twixt. However, Val received some bad news in 2015 that would essentially end his Hollywood career for good. In January 2015, Val went to the hospital to have a possible tumor examined. He subsequently denied its existence for a period of years before finally coming clean about it in April of 2017. That month, Val made a public announcement he had been fighting a difficult battle with throat cancer. As of 2020, Val has claimed he defeated the cancer, though the battle has left him no longer able to eat. Over the course of the battle, he underwent 2 tracheotomies and numerous periods of chemotherapy. Though he now has to use a feeding tube, he's still alive and persevering. Despite the massive setback Val's battle with throat cancer has had, he hasn't let it destroy his career completely. He continues to appear sporadically in films. In 2017, he appeared in the Terrence Malick feature Song to Song, featuring alongside Ryan Gosling and Rooney Mara. That same year, he could be seen in the film The Snowman alongside Michael Fassbender. And in 2020, he starred in a film called Pay Dirt, working alongside his own daughter. Val was only married once, from 1988 to 96. He and his wife had 2 children, the aforementioned daughter Mercedes and a son Jack. His wife was actress Joanne Whalley, whom he met on the film Willow. Since their divorce, Val has tried to keep his personal life outside the public's perception. Perhaps this is why he chose to keep his cancer diagnosis a secret for so long. Val still has an acting future ahead of him, with 2 films currently in production. They're both set to be released in 2021. One is called The Birthday Cake, and the other is Top Gun Maverick, a sequel to the classic Top Gun. He is reprising his original role alongside Tom Cruise. Hopefully, Val can remain cancer-free and will continue starring in feature films for the foreseeable future. Now it's time to hear from you. Comment down below to share which of Val's many on-screen roles is your favorite, or if you've ever gotten the chance to see him live on stage. And be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.